Betrayal rarely announces itself loudly. It hides in a quiet house at midnight. When a father returns early and finds his son alone, patience becomes a weapon. Marcus Vance made his living appraising forgotten objects for probate courts. Banks trusted him to separate genuine treasures from clever fakes. His mother taught him, a stolen item never stops belonging to its real owner. Marcus built his career believing provenance was a story you could prove. Years ago, his world was anchored by his wife, Clara, who restored antique clocks. When Clara died, she left their 10-year-old son, Leo, a silver pocket watch. She told Leo it would always guide him back home whenever he felt lost. 6 months later, that irreplaceable watch vanished from their home. Marcus searched everywhere, but the heirloom had dissolved into thin air. 2 years later, Marcus met Victoria Sterling at an estate auction. Victoria was polished and memorized every detail about everyone she met. She worked for her mother, Evelyn, who ran Sterling Liquidations. Evelyn hugged widows on Sunday, then sold their homes on Monday afternoon. Marcus believed he was giving Leo a family when he married Victoria. Instead, the temperature in the house dropped once papers were signed. Victoria's warmth vanished whenever Marcus went out of town on business. Leo's drawings were removed from the fridge for cruise brochures. His seat at dinner was replaced with a folding chair in the corner. When Marcus questioned this, Victoria cried, asking why he preferred a ghost. They manipulated Marcus while pushing him into long travel contracts. That October, Marcus accepted a 3-week appraisal contract in Charleston. Victoria practically packed his bags, eager to see him drive away. 19 days in, the Charleston contract collapsed and ended early. Paid in full, Marcus drove 11 hours straight without calling ahead. Decades of experience told him the truth would not survive an arrival call. Just after midnight, he pulled onto Oak Ridge Drive to find his home dark. Only a strip of light showed beneath the basement door with the dryer hum. Downstairs, his 12-year-old son was folding clothes alone in the dark. Leo looked up with calm eyes and whispered 8 words that changed everything. "Dad, don't be mad. I was going to finish before Sunday." Marcus kept his voice steady and asked where everyone had gone. Leo shrugged casually and pointed toward the dark kitchen above them. "They left on Tuesday," he replied. "The note is on the fridge." Marcus walked upstairs and stared at the handwritten message held by a magnet. It was written in Evelyn's confident, looping handwriting on company paper. "Took the family on a 5-day cruise, my treat," the message read. "The family earned this vacation, and there is pizza money on the counter. The boy is not invited because he is your mistake, not ours." It was signed with supreme arrogance by Evelyn Sterling. Marcus read the cold words twice as a quiet rage settled deep in his chest. They had left a 12-year-old child alone for 5 days with pizza money. They believed Marcus was far away, powerless, and completely blind to their game. He folded the paper carefully and slid it into his inner coat pocket. That was when Leo walked into the kitchen, holding a folded shirt like a shield. "Dad?" "Grandma doesn't know I found something in her cabinet," Leo whispered. "She left in a hurry, and the corner latch opens if you press it right." Marcus followed his son down the hallway toward the locked guest suite. Leo pressed his small thumb into a carved wood rosette, and the door slid open. Inside, the upper shelves held vintage books and harmless porcelain figurines. The lower compartment contained 9 thick accordion folders labeled with names. Wills, powers of attorney, and revised deeds filled every single folder. Beneath them sat a wooden box filled with tagged gold rings and pocket watches. Each tag matched a liquidated lot number from Sterling Liquidations, and lying right in the center was Clara's missing silver pocket watch. It carried a bright yellow price tag tied securely to its antique chain. Leo looked up at his father with a quiet, heartbreaking expression. "That was Mom's watch, wasn't it?" Leo asked softly in the dim light. "Why does Grandma have Mom's watch hidden in her private cabinet?" Marcus felt 30 years of patience freeze into absolute determination. Every cold glance, every missing dollar, and every lie made complete sense. The marriage was never a romance. It was a targeted takeover of his life. Marcus put his arm around his son and told him everything would be okay. "You didn't do anything wrong." "And you're not staying in this house alone," he said. He pulled out his phone and carefully photographed the note on the fridge. Then he took high-resolution pictures of the cabinet, the files, and the watch. An amateur grabs evidence instantly, giving defense lawyers room to fight. A professional documents the scene and lets the authorities build the cage. Marcus pressed the hidden cabinet door flush and took Leo to the kitchen. At 1 in the morning, he cooked his son a hot meal and simply listened. For the first time in a year, Leo spoke freely about what had been happening. He told Marcus about forgotten school pickups and canceled birthday plans. He revealed how his clothes were constantly thrown onto the cold garage floor. "Grandma said my clothes don't belong in the same machine as family," Leo admitted. The next morning, Marcus asked his Charleston client to keep his return secret. Then he called investigator Priscilla Vang from the Attorney General's office. Priscilla was a fraud prosecutor who had used Marcus as an expert witness. They met at a quiet diner 2 towns over, away from any familiar eyes. Marcus laid out the photographs on the table and explained the situation. Priscilla scrolled through the photos, her eyes widening with recognition. She told Marcus about several unsolved estate fraud cases across the county. Elderly widows had lost fortunes after sudden, suspicious will revisions. In every single case, Sterling Liquidations had handled the asset sales. Nobody had been able to connect the scheme until Marcus uncovered the files. Marcus enlarged the forged signatures and showed them to Priscilla. "Paperwork holds up until an expert analyzes the pen pressure," Marcus said. By 9 o'clock the next morning, a judge signed a search warrant. While the Sterlings were at sea, investigators entered the home. The evidence team systematically emptied the hidden compartment into bags. They discovered original wills, stolen jewelry, and illegal ledgers. A leather book contained notes rating vulnerable clients like financial targets. One page was dedicated to Marcus, detailing his assets and property value. The trap was officially set and the countdown to their return had begun. Investigators uncovered 3 years of text messages hidden behind the panel. The messages were between Victoria and a corrupt attorney named Richard Hayes. Hayes was the legal architect who drafted every forged estate document. Their relationship predated Victoria's marriage to Marcus by over 2 years. Marcus was merely a target, chosen for his pristine reputation and valuable home. A draft of an altered will was found, transferring Marcus's assets to Victoria. Under the proposed plan, Leo was scheduled to be sent to a distant boarding school. Priscilla Vang set a quiet trap for Attorney Hayes before anyone could warn him. She summoned him to an urgent consultation regarding a fictional wealthy client. Within 40 minutes of the recorded meeting, Hayes admitted his exact role. When investigators stepped into the room, Hayes surrendered without a fight. He handed over records detailing 11 years of systematic estate theft. Over $2.5 million had been stolen from grieving families. While the legal trap was finalized, Marcus focused on repairing his relationship with Leo. For the remaining 3 days of the cruise, father and son stayed close together. They cooked meals, fixed old timepieces, and filled the quiet house with laughter. On Sunday afternoon, they washed their clothes together with the basement lights on. "We do laundry in the middle of the day now," Marcus told Leo with a proud smile. Out on the open ocean, the Sterlings remained blissfully unaware of their fate. They posted ocean views, confident that their hidden cabinet remained untouched. Victoria shared vacation updates, boasting about their expensive tropical getaway. They had no idea that forensic examiners were cataloging every stolen item. Priscilla coordinated with port authorities to set up an unavoidable arrest. Perimeter. Marcus watched the ship's live tracker on his phone, waiting patiently for the dock. The quiet appraiser, whom they had dismissed as weak, was ready for complete justice. On the 5th morning, the grand cruise liner slowly glided into the bright harbor. The cruise ship docked under a clear morning sky as passengers streamed off. Evelyn Sterling walked down the gangway wearing a bright matching cruise shirt. Victoria followed behind her, laughing while carrying bags of duty-free goods. They were beaming with satisfaction, convinced their scheme was executed flawlessly. Evelyn was the first to notice the uniformed officers waiting at the terminal exit. Investigator Priscilla Vang stepped forward, displaying her legal credentials clearly. "Officers, there must be some terrible misunderstanding," Evelyn said in her church voice. Priscilla raised a copy of the court document and looked directly into Evelyn's eyes. "Search warrant executed on Oak Ridge Drive 3 days ago," Priscilla announced calmly. Evelyn's face instantly lost all color as her confidence evaporated in a second. Her hand instinctively shot to the velvet ribbon tied tightly around her neck. She reached for the key to a cabinet that had already been emptied by police. That single panic-driven gesture was recorded by multiple tourist phone cameras. Prosecutor Vang would later present that video in court as proof of guilt. Victoria frantically scanned the crowded terminal, looking for her husband's face. Marcus was nowhere to be seen, having intentionally skipped the public arrests. Instead, Marcus was at a local diner, buying Leo pancakes and fresh juice. Handcuffed in front of hundreds of onlookers, the Sterling family was led away. The story hit the local evening news, shaking the 3 counties they once controlled. Within 48 hours, Victoria's sister broke down and cooperated with police. The financial records revealed a web of deception stretching back over a decade. When the trial began months later, Marcus took the witness stand as an expert witness. With steady authority, he demonstrated how every signature was artificially forged. He analyzed pen pressure, ink lifts, and letter forms for the spellbound jury. The judge sentenced Evelyn to 22 years in state prison for racketeering. Victoria received an 8-year sentence, and her marriage to Marcus was annulled. The court erased the marriage entirely under grounds of fraudulent inducement. Seized assets from Sterling liquidations were converted into a restitution fund. 9 victimized families received their stolen inheritances back in full. The retired ferry captain who was targeted next received his protected deed back. After the trial concluded, Marcus filled out the formal paperwork to reclaim Clara's silver watch, holding the restored heirloom. In his hands felt like bringing a precious piece of his past home. The silver surface shone brightly once again, completely cleansed of its bitter history. On Leo's 13th birthday, Marcus placed the pocket watch into his son's hands with a warm smile. "This belonged to your mother," Marcus whispered gently, "and it will always guide you back home." Leo touched the smooth silver casing, placing it carefully under his shirt where it belonged. The former guest suite in their house was completely renovated and transformed into a bright workshop. Together, father and son spent their quiet weekends repairing antique clocks by the large window. Leo quickly inherited his mother's precise talent, taking apart old gears and making them run again. He grew into a confident young man who understood the value of truth, patience, and family. An honest competitor eventually acquired the assets of the defunct Sterling liquidations firm. Recognizing his unmatched expertise, they hired Marcus as their chief authentication consultant. The first thing Marcus did was print a foundational rule at the top of every single client contract. We do not take what is not ours, because a stolen item never stops belonging to its real owner. Life on Oak Ridge Drive settled into a peaceful, joyous rhythm grounded in mutual respect. Every Sunday afternoon, Marcus and Leo washed their clothes together with all the lights turned up. They talked and laughed loudly without fear, knowing this home truly belonged to them. The journey of Marcus Vance proves that quiet patience is always more powerful than explosive anger. Greed and deception tried to shatter a family, but careful documentation ensured justice prevailed. Parents must always pay attention to the subtle signs and protect their children from hidden harm. True strength comes from standing firm in the truth and watching over those who depend on you. Thank you so much for watching this complete story on the Revenge Hub. If this journey moved you, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your family and friends. Be sure to visit our channel for more thrilling stories of justice, triumph, and moral victory.